Guys, welcome in back to a late night show, Musicians Talkshow. A little bit different the hour, but still the same thing. Still having a late night with Ministry Gospel Musician. I'm Richie Nava. I'm the host for tonight's show. And as you guys see in the back, we have my brother Austin Blackmon, all the way from Indianapolis, Indiana. And he's with me. Some people already tuned in. Musicians, welcome in. Brothers and sisters, ladies and gentlemen. Let's get this musician talk show ready. We have them here. Let me send them that invite. And we're excited for today. So let me send them the invite. Let's see here. There it is. Working and everything. Sometimes we got that internet problem. Oh,
How you doing, man?
pretty good.
I'm
And
good,
yourself?
man. Yes,
How
sir.
about you? How are you?
I'm good, man. Good, man. I'm happy. I'm tired, but I'm good, man. Happy to be alive, dog.
Definitely,
Yes,
definitely.
sir.
Well, I appreciate you being here on the Musician Talk Show with Ministry Gospel Musicians.
Yes, sir.
Right off the right off the bat, we had Lacey a couple weeks ago.
Right.
I saw you tune in.
Yeah.
It's been a blessing. I've been keeping up with you guys ever since I met him. Then I met you,
Yes, sir.
and I fell in love with what you're doing right here. Demonstrate
Yes, sir.
TV.
Yes, sir.
And you guys go ahead and tune into his page. Amazing stuff that you're doing, brother.
Yes, sir.
And I wanted to ask you, you've been playing with Lacey for so many, I don't know how many years.
Yeah.
How was that experience to be able to say, man, I've been playing with the same musician. I know you play with different groups, but to have that same band, if
Yeah.
you know what I'm saying,
Yeah.
you can kind of talk to us about that.
Yeah,
That
absolutely. Absolutely, man. So me and Lacey have been best friends since I was 7, he was 5. We grew up at the same church. I actually started off on drums or whatever, so we was kind of like battling it out on drums at the same church, like who gonna play this Sunday. I kind of had an advantage. My mom's the minister of music, so it was kind of one of those situations, but that kind of grew our chemistry and our love for each other, man. You know what I'm saying? Like, I'm 23, he's 21, so that's my best friends and my little brother and all that kind of stuff. So being able to do everything that we do together, it's a blessing in itself, because it's hard, especially being a musician, to build chemistry with other people and stuff. And it's getting to the point where people are like, well, if I got Lacey, I want Austin to play. If I got Austin, I want Lacey to play. So it's one of them situations where it's amazing to build that type of relationship, with him and the artists that we play for and that we had a chance to work with. So, and it's a great feeling, man, for sure.
And I saw that post that you made of the Shaq and Kobe.
Oh yeah.
That-
Yeah, they call it Shaq and Kobe, man. So that's just what it is.
Yeah, and it's crazy that since you guys said that you started off on drums, which I didn't know. That's crazy.
Yeah.
Is there any other instrument that you play besides bass and drums?
Nah. So funny thing is, my actual first instrument that my father bought me before he passed was a bass, but I didn't want to play bass. I was thinking about, I wanted to be a drummer. So, when he got it for me and stuff, I'm like, what is this? I don't want, I don't want that. So the next day, he was like, okay, I'll get your drum set. So I played drums, never touched the bass. And then after drums, I kind of was like, okay, I don't want, Lacey was coming up, so it was his time, so I was just like, well, I'm just going to sing, so I actually quit. I quit football. I quit sports stuff because I wanted to sing or whatever. And then our bass player at the church had went to college. And so it was like, hey, we need a bass player, and at the time, the church that I grew up in, they didn't necessarily believe in paying musicians at the time. And so we was like, okay, well, we got little Austin, he can do it. So I got on and I started playing, and it was basically destined for me to play bass. It wasn't nothing that I really had to take lessons for or whatever. I truly believe that it was a God-given ability in that moment, and so I just, I'm grateful for it, honestly.
Maybe, Hey, bro, how to this say similar question we were going here in the same time
Yeah.
with Brother Lacey.
Hmm.
Um, you've been playing with him, and then you guys started off with oh who's gonna play on Sunday.
Yeah.
How's that change and how's that grow in that relationship? That the fact that as musicians when we start off, hey, there's another pianist. I'm not the only pianist.
Yeah.
That type of hey, I gotta watch out, or I gotta practice even more, or
Yeah. Yeah. Yeah.
how did that become with you and Lacey? Everyone like, oh, we're not too close.
Yeah.
Uh, what brought you guys closer? Um, can you share a little bit about that?
Absolutely. So it was definitely so really at the time, bro, it was five drummers at the church.
Oh,
So but our church was, considered a mega church. We
yeah,
grew up at basically a mega church, Mount Zion, so which is Kingdom Apostolic now, but so it was five drummers. It was five drummers, but the good thing about it was we had five different praise teams. So it was basically, all right, you play for this praise team, I
yeah,
play for this praise team, blase, blase, blase. But it was definitely, especially between me and Lacey, it was definitely some, button of the heads and stuff. You know what I mean? Like that was, it was kind of like, all right, who's better? Who gonna play this? Especially when it came to, musician's dream, especially as a young musician was, if we go and travel and go to a different church or something like that, I want to be the one to play that service. I want to play at whatever, the conventions and all that kind of stuff. But, we definitely had our ups and downs and stuff like that. But I believe that that's what made our relationship, grow stronger between us. It's more spiritual now, if anything. We talk, we help each other, we coach each other through different situations. If one of us don't know the music, we're gonna lead each other. And it's not necessarily something that we gotta say out loud. It's become a more of just I just know. We just know each other and we just know everything that's going on. So that's how that kind of panned out.
man. And I'm kind of going to this next question. You kind of
Hmm.
brought it up a little bit.
Yeah.
What advice can you give to a musician who's going through like a process or a transition
Hmm.
of always being a musician in the music ministry,
Yeah.
and God is calling him to something else. Maybe it's preaching, maybe it's a different ministry, maybe it's a
Yeah.
teaching ministry in church
Hmm.
or missionary, and he identifies himself. Uh, every day is his first one, as a musician. And how's that process? If you can go through us, your opinions, your advice for that
Hmm.
musician, making that transition, that process to God calling him to something else.
Yeah, absolutely. So, man, that's a great question. For me, it was a weird transition for me. I went through a period of time where I kind of became numb, to church and the things of church because I got complacent with what I saw God as. I saw God as just something that I did at church and not necessarily had a relationship with Him. And so I remember one service, like I had got extremely numb in service, like physically numb to the point where, I had stopped playing and I was looking around and my mother had asked me like, "Are you okay?" And I was just like, "Something's not right." You know what I mean? And it was in that moment that God was kind of showing me like, "Hey, this is where I'm leading you to." He is, he kind of, you know, in a way placed a teaching anointing on me, man. So, you know, um, after that, I had got a call from a school and was like, "Hey, we're looking for a music teacher, and we want you to be the music teacher." And mind you, I didn't go to college for it. I didn't have no degree. I didn't, anything. It was definitely a God thing. And, and I remember the first class I taught, I legit almost started speaking in tongues in class because it was one of those situations where I felt God for it. You know what I mean? And so it was it was definitely different. My advice would be though, something that I learned was not to abandon the gift that you currently have for the future. Because a lot of times when God speaks, He's speaking from the place that you're going to be, not necessarily where you are now. And so I had begun to like, okay, well, I'm just not gonna play bass no more. And so I began to put it down. And had I put it down, I would have missed out on a lot of opportunities. Start especially after the pandemic. The world starting to open back up, and we started to travel more. And I'm grateful that I picked it back up. But I would just say don't abandon what you're doing now. If God has called you to, be a teacher, or if he's called you to be a prophet, or, whatever that he has called you to do, don't abandon your where you are now until God completely says, all right, it's time to go to the next thing. Because then you'll end up being stuck between the future and now. And then you don't know
Right.
what to do, and you almost start losing your mind. I went through that throughout the pandemic, just being at home by myself and really having to face myself like, yo, this is where God is trying to take you, but right now he needs you still here. And the gift of me being able to play the bass and being able to sing and writing has
Right.
opened doors for me to teach and open doors for me to do things like that. So that would be my advice for that, for sure.
And you got a great voice now that you brought it up, man.
I
You,
appreciate it,
you can
man. Thank
sing.
you.
Yeah, you can sing.
Yeah.
You can definitely play. And I just been recently keeping up with you through the YouTube channel.
Yes,
Man,
sir.
God is using you on the word as well.
Yeah.
So
Appreciate
that's
it.
what that's what kind of wanted to bring up this question, because I
Yeah.
know for a lot of musicians, myself and other musicians that can relate
Yeah.
to the following, what we said, that
Mhm.
sometimes as musicians, playing music, and God is calling us to something else. Like I said, the teaching, the word,
Right.
and it can be hard. It can be
Yeah.
tough.
Absolutely.
It's like, oh man, I love playing this.
Yeah.
Like, you know,
Absolutely. Yeah.
that transition. I wanted to ask you what um if you can talk to us a little bit more about the Demonstrate TV YouTube channel that you have. What motivated you? What made you start that YouTube channel?
Yeah.
And the process of it.
Absolutely. So I remember when I was working at the school teaching, I remember having a very vivid dream or vision while I was in class on break, and I had a vision of a ministry that the Lord had desired me to start, which was demonstrate church, demonstrate TV, and all this kind of stuff. And he was telling me that my generation, being spearheaded by my generation, we're going to be demonstrators of his power and demonstrators of his spirit in the earth, and demonstrator of his kingdom. And so, I knew that he was telling me that the platform would be started, on social media and things of that. And it was crazy because even before, all that kind of stuff, kind of pandemic kind of pushed everybody to social media and, online and things like that. And so, that's kind of where that was birthed out of. But, you know, God had gave me this, the ultimate, vision for it. But, we have to start somewhere. You know what I'm saying? So that's why I'm taking it slow, kind of just really trying to, study and do what I need to do, to get, where I need to be in him. You know what I'm saying? Demonstration is, it's a big deal, for God to say, hey, I want you to demonstrate this. That means you have to first have the full knowledge of it. You know what I mean? You have to, you have to have the knowledge, and you have to have the authority over it to be able to demonstrate those things. And so that's kind of where that was birthed out of. I'm excited about it, wherever the Lord takes it and things of that nature. But, I'm excited, bro.
Definitely.
Yes, sir.
I like how you said, that there's this you were in school,
Yeah.
like this is like the times that you least expect, the
Yeah.
times that you don't even think, guys, like, hey,
Absolutely.
boom,
Yeah.
pops up. Oh
Yeah.
wow,
Yeah. Absolutely. Absolutely.
it let's see here, because I also want to give, I know we did with Brother Lacey what we had. I don't know if you had the time after a few
Oh, yes.
after a few questions where we answer some of the, your peers, your
Yes,
musicians
sir.
logging in here that they
Yeah.
want to ask a question, and you're able to answer one or two,
Yes,
whichever,
sir.
how many
For
you
sure.
like. Awesome.
Yeah.
Let's see this one. Oh, craziest experience or moment you had as a musician. You can go since day
Oh,
one to now.
yeah. So I tell this I tell this story a lot. But it was actually the humbling experience I had where I know that it was God. It was a particular time where I was kind of coming up on bass. I was starting to get a little notoriety. So I started to, started feeling myself a little bit. And, it was getting to those situations where I was like, oh, I don't need to learn this music. I'll learn it when I get there, all this kind of stuff. And so I had showed up to a rehearsal, And we did the whole rehearsal. I got through the rehearsal and all this kind of stuff, and we got on stage, man, and we played the intro to one of the songs, and all I remember was my bass, the fingerboard of my bass literally disappeared. It was like everything on my bass was completely gone. And I was like, it was as if I couldn't see anything.
Yeah.
I mean, I was playing the song in the wrong key. It was so bad, man, too, where afterwards, the artist was like, "Hey, what's your Cash App?" I told him, I said, "Don't pay me." I said, "Don't pay me, man. I don't deserve that. I don't deserve that.
Oh,
I sent y'all down. I sent y'all down, and I don't deserve that." I think I cried the whole way home. And mind you, I was in a whole different state, so I had to drive home for 2 hours and
yeah.
just. I didn't listen to no music. It was just in my mind, like, dog, you got to get it together. You got to God just humbled you, man. So I remember I called Lacey crying. I was like, man, I just messed up, man. I was like, they ain't gonna call me no more. But luckily, they had grace. It was for a matter of fact, it was for my big homie Jason Claiborne, and the atmosphere changes, man. Shout out to them. Man, we did. I survived it. Ricky Dillon. I remember like it was yesterday. He actually wrote that, and man, I started that song in a whole different key. I literally couldn't see. I was like, oh wow, this is crazy. God is real for real. So it was
Yes,
it was
sir.
definitely that. It was definitely that
Wow.
situation.
Man, and those when that happens is like you're like in a way you're like, man, I don't know what's gonna happen.
Yeah, absolutely, absolutely. Yeah,
It's like almost like, man, I'm going to jail.
yeah,
Or,
yeah. Absolutely, for real.
man,
Yeah,
hey,
sure.
I had this question from this musician on
Hmm.
from Instagram. We were able to put some questions that they wanted to ask you, and he
Gotcha.
said, what advice can you give us as musicians when it's first time playing with other musicians, maybe
Hmm.
it's a drummer or a bass player, or for yourself another keyboardist, another organist.
Hmm.
What advice can you give us as far as uh, first time playing with other musicians?
Yeah, I would say, for me, I come in very low. I come into the situation very, very, very humble. A lot of humility because you never know who you're playing with. You know what I'm saying? And I don't come in thinking that I know everything. Those type of situations. You just gotta know. You gotta know your role, man. Just play your role. If they say you coming in and we need you to play bass, play bass. If they say come in and we need you to play drums and do your job. You know what I mean? Because at the end of the day, that's what they calling you to do, is to do a job. So I would say just come in, focus on your personal place, and stay really low, stay real humble, and always be a student. Always be a student to whatever's going on around you. So yeah. Mhm.
Appreciate you that. And, uh, okay, this one we're gonna get a little bit here.
Yeah,
Uh,
yes, sir.
your top five bass players.
Top five bass players. Okay. Yikes. All right. So not in any particular order, but the first one that I'm going to name is number one, mainly because that he was basically who inspired me, really honestly. But Thaddeus Johnson for sure is number one for me. Mainly because at the time when I started playing bass, I was watching the United as One tour. I don't know if you seen them videos with Dad and Varro when they was playing with James Fortune, and
Yeah,
it was relatable for me because I'm 6'4", I'm about 400 pounds and stuff like that. So he about 6'8", he up there moving and grooving. So that's where I was like, oh man, I could be like him. So when you hear me or you see me play, you could be like, bro, he looked just like that. That's where I get that from. So that's definitely number one for me. Morgan Turner, Alan Snoop Evans, um, Alan Snoop Evans for number three, Rob Woodridge from Chicago, and I'm gonna throw in Sean Davis from here, from home. He's actually in Ukraine right now. Shout out to him. They're doing a tour out there with him and Aaron Stick Smith. So
oh,
those are
okay.
definitely the top five for me right now, for sure.
All right, and
Yeah.
Uh, did you did you play sports besides the music stuff? You were an
Yeah,
athlete.
so I played all the way up to high school. I played basketball and football. Um, Specifically, football was the one. Left tackle. Everybody called me blindside. I was number 74, so everybody was like, "Oh, he the next Michael Orr." But God had the other plans for sure. So that's kind of how that went. It was cool though, man. It was dope.
What else? If you had not gotten into the music industry
Hmm.
and into a musician, playing for church, playing for artists, different groups,
Yeah,
where else do we see Austin?
yeah. So
What other occupation do you see yourself, or where will we see you?
I know for me, growing up, I always wanted to be an architect. I um, I will always grow up, and I can't draw, but I just know what I wanted to see. I remember when I was telling you about the vision that God gave me about my ministry. I began to draw it. I actually have a drawing of it. I still got it in my notebook, but it's a whole drawing of the building and the sanctuary, how I wanted to look, and everything that He was showing me, and even my school that I eventually want to open. It will be called Truth Academy, but I wanted to be like a legit school, whatever, and I drew it out, all this kind of stuff. I really wanted to be an architect. Also, of course, I want to own like my own franchise of restaurants. Um, I had a couple, ideas of different names. I ain't gonna say them because I don't want nobody to steal it, but definitely, some franchise with restaurants and things like that. So it's just everywhere. My uncle always told me, man, Austin, anything that you touch, God has blessed you.
Yes, sir.
To turn it to gold. So I take whatever I can do, I do it, and I do it to the best of best of my ability with God's help. And I try to execute everything. I play every time like it's my last, sing every time like it's my last. I teach every time like it's my last. So yeah, man, it's just that's really what it would be.
Wow.
Yes,
Uh,
sir.
I was gonna ask you, since you sing too, man, and you're an
Mhm.
amazing singer, you're an anointed musician. I can feel that through your videos, through your singing.
Yes, sir.
And what's do you have your top five singers that you most like? That you say, man, these are my top guys. Top
Yeah.
five most
So
singers.
number one again, as far as my inspiration is Fred Hammond all day long. Fred is that's my dude, man. My whole singing approach is modeled after him. So definitely Fred Hammond, man. I love L. Spencer Smith. I love his music. Chandler Moore, of course. He got that that low rasp. Um, that's three. Two more. Give me two more. Oh, Tone, of course, will be Slade now, but Tone for sure. But that's number four. And I don't know, man. Oh, D'Angelo Gardner. I love D'Angelo Gardner's approach to music, man. The way he navigates through music and things like that. He was on Sunday's Best. So, I actually had a chance to play on one of his singles while he was living here in Indianapolis.
Wow,
It's called Broken, I think. Broken. I think it was called Broken. D'Angelo Gardner Broken.
man,
It's
how
just
how
very,
was that? How was that
yeah,
one since the beginning, man? Take us back to the first
yeah,
call, first text, or man,
yeah.
how was it? How was it when you said, hey, man, I want you to play or whatever you did?
Yeah,
Man, how
so
was
I
that?
was playing at I was playing at a church and he had came to sing. And the MD of the church and him were kind of close, that was kind of cool. And so we was playing and afterwards the MD had called me. He was like, "Hey, he really like you on bass. He about to do a single. You want to do it?" And at the time, this was probably my second or third year playing bass. So I wasn't really like, it was my first time really cutting at home, or recording. That's a whole different animal. It's cool when you can play and be covered up by a band. But when you playing by yourself, that's really where it shows you, if you really got it. And so I played that. I took my time, did it, man. It was nerve wracking, but it was a great experience, man. It was definitely a great experience. So yeah.
Right. And can you remember or can you talk to us like that first time where you got a big gig or playing for a big artist? I mean,
Yeah.
how old were you? And can you walk us through it? Talk to us. I mean, how was that?
Yeah. So my first big big gig was with Judah Band. I was filling in for, I believe it was Sean Davis at the time. I was filling in for him. It was in Michigan City, Indiana. It's kind of like a little bit outside of Gary.
Okay.
And playing with my uncle, man. My uncle, he's the leader of Judah Band, and so he's been nurturing me, and he kind of stepped in when my father passed, so he kind of just been helping me do stuff like that. And so, he the one that's been on me about tone and playing right and being aggressive, and that was an amazing experience. Actually playing on a stage and the lights and the cameras and all that kind of stuff. It was an outside event too, so I'm hot, I'm sweating, and all that kind of stuff. But it was amazing, especially to be able to execute right and do everything right. And after that, doors just started to open up. Got to play with Demetrius West and Jason Claiborne, and now I'm back on the road with Judah Band and stuff. We just did a live recording. I believe it was last month. So, now we're kind of just pushing that record and doing ministry now. So it's an amazing feeling, man. It's amazing.
And how old were you? Did you say that? How old were you?
I think I was 17. I think I was 17, 16, 17 years old. Yeah.
Wow.
Yeah.
And that was your first time that a big artist or a big name gave you a call?
Yeah. That was my first major artist for sure.
Wow.
Yeah.
That's great. I want to give some time for the people that are logged in, brothers and
Yes,
sisters,
sir.
ladies and gentlemen. Austin, if you want to answer a question, any question that they have,
Okay, yes, sir. Send them on.
we'll be glad to have them on.
Yes, sir.
Hopefully, they don't all show up at the same time.
Yeah. Yeah. Let's pray. Let's pray it ain't too many. They may not have no questions though. I think I answered and covered everything. We're gonna see.
Yeah.
Oh yeah, man.
Let's see if we can get a question.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, man, you almost made me cry, man. I felt a lot what you said about how you said you messed up on that gig,
Yeah.
and you just felt bad the whole way. Okay, there it is.
Yeah, absolutely.
You got me. You got me because a couple months ago, that happened to me.
Yeah.
It was recent, so you almost got me tears, man. I don't want to cry in the show, but
yeah.
I felt
It's definitely a part of it. It's a part of it's a part of life, man. You're not always going to execute like you think you're going. And I think for me it was God just kind of showing me you got to take yourself out the way. That's one thing that I've learned is that a lot of the opportunity that opened for me wasn't because of anything that I did, but it was because the fact that God had placed my name in rooms that I hadn't been in, and people talk about me and say things, and all this kind of stuff, and say, hey, man, I need you, I need this, and I need that, and all this kind of stuff. And I'm like, man, I never even met this person before. Like, I'm doing a live recording next week in Nashville, next Saturday.
Nashville, Tennessee.
Nashville, Tennessee, yes, sir, for Ron Poindexter. And I ain't never played for him, you know what I'm saying? But he had called me on Instagram. He was like, hey man, I got a live recording, I want you to play. I'm like, all right, cool, So it's just, it's a part of life, man. Everything is gone. You ain't gonna always lock it down like you want to. Shoot, me and Lacey had a gig not too long ago, and we was just like, man, this was horrible. Like, we did terrible, but it's not about necessarily how you feel, man. It's about how you are presenting God and pushing it, pushing Him over everything else. So you got a question? Did you ever get fired from a gig? Yes. Well, I wouldn't say I got fired. It was more of a like I missed one because I wasn't on my stuff, so I kind of had to sit one out. But I mean, I'm back, playing for them and stuff like that. So yeah, it's a part of it, man. Got another one here. So in my area, people don't want to mentor and help out when it comes to music, but then complain when they can't get a break. So with that being said, what should I do, or what would you do? I mean,
I pinned it there.
Okay, cool. Yeah. So, yeah, when it comes to, I actually was just talking to, I was just talking to my uncle about this. We were talking about, you
Wow,
know,
that's
those,
a good question.
those, yeah. We was just talking about those above us, that kind of don't want to necessarily give us the help that we need, and I would say to you is that learn as much as you can on your own, and eventually the help will come. I don't think God will, leave you hanging. He'll send the right person in to help you. I've felt like that too, honestly, especially, in the way that God has taken me in, different situations and different places, even getting me to that next level as far as in him and, the gifts that he has given me. I had to realize, I'm like, man, God, I feel alone. I feel like I'm doing this all by myself. I don't have no help. And, he really, really brought in some people to help me. My big bro Brandon and my big bro Mario, and my uncle Randy. And so I would say, learn as much as you can right now, and don't necessarily look for the person or your help to be in that field. My big bro Mario and Brandon, they don't know nothing about music, but they help me in life. And so because they help me in life, that helps me in music. So yeah, that's my advice for sure.
Yeah, definitely, man. You got the answer for sure.
Man, I'm trying, man.
Let's see.
Yes, sir.
Was that all the questions there?
I think that was it, man.
Okay.
So I appreciate you, Delano. I think so it is. Yeah. So yeah, man. I appreciate this opportunity, man, to come on and talk to you, bro.
I appreciate it too. If we don't have any more questions, um, we'll conclude it for tonight. But it
Yes,
was
sir.
definitely great having you, brother.
Yes, sir.
I appreciate as a humble musician, man, you're very anointed. Keep it up. Keep what you're doing, man.
Yes, sir.
And we hope to have you one of these days.
Yes, sir.
We
You
see a
got to
lot of
put on an
community.
event, man. You got to put on an event or something, man. We got to come into the city and get
Yeah,
together, man, for sure.
we're trying to grow little by little this
Yeah,
ministry, but it's mainly going out beyond the four walls, going out to the community and
yeah, for
churches,
sure.
inviting churches, bringing us together, and,
Yeah,
and just spreading the word of God through the
Ab-
music.
absolutely,
But
absolutely. It's big. It's
I,
bigger than music, man. It's way bigger
yes,
than
sir.
music.
Yes,
Always
sir.
bigger than music. Don't be afraid to step out, man. Do what you got to do. Don't hold back. Do everything you need to do, man. You'll get it done.
Yes, sir. I
Yes, sir.
appreciate it, and thank you, brothers and sisters. We'll conclude for this musician talk show with my brother Austin Blackmon. I
Yes, sir.
appreciate you, brother.
Appreciate it, man.
Thank you for being here,
Yes,
and
sir.
we'll see you for the next one. And God
Yes, sir.
bless you. Much
God
love
bless
and
you, man.
respect, brother.
Yes,
Bless.
sir. All right.
All right, guys. I appreciate all of you guys logging in, tuning in, musicians, church musicians, wherever you're hearing, and hope that you were blessed with this. My brother Austin Blackmon. I have his YouTube channel, Demonstrate TV, where he kind of talks to us, brings us the word, demonstrates, right, what the word says. And I appreciate you guys being here and share it with somebody. We're gonna have it later on our YouTube channel and the ministry, and hoping to have more of these musician talk shows for you guys. God bless you guys and have a wonderful day and a wonderful 4th of July.